Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing details. Today, we are discussing the Rolex Oysterquartz Day-Date in yellow gold. This is reference 19018. Sometimes, I have to admit, I get a little bit bored with the Rolex reviews because many of them are repetitive. But when I have an oyster quartz, all of a sudden, it becomes exciting again. And that's exactly what we have right here. We have a yellow gold Oysterquartz Day-Date, tritium hands, tritium dial, both match, 9.7 million serials, so roughly 1987. It is the classic and rarely seen Oysterquartz Day-Date. So the model originally launched in 1977. It was phased out of the catalog around 2001-2002. Of all Oysterquartz models, that combines the Datejust and the Day-Date, about 25,000 units were made. Consider this is approximately 1/4 of a century, 25,000 units total, and most of those units were the Datejust. Then you begin to realize just how rare and special these Rolex Day-Date Oysterquartz models are. They're also very wearable, 36 millimeters in diameter. It's 12.5 millimeters thick, and then if we measure the bracelet side to side, these little end links project out. We have a total distance across the wrist of 46.3 millimeters. Now, the bracelet is very specific to the Oysterquartz. As you can see, it's a unique, flat, broad design, fully integrated. This was the era of integrated bracelet watch design, both for sports watches and for dress watches. The Oysterquartz came out of that period when integration was en vogue. And remember, the original Rolex 5100 Texan, their Beta 21 quartz from 1970, that watch is, and I have it on good account, a product of Gerald Genta's imagination, and Genta considered the Day-Date to be a continuation of his Oysterquartz design, or rather, I should say, his Beta 21 design. The Oysterquartz is Gerald Genta by other means. Now, taking a quick look on the wrist, you can see 16 centimeters in circumference is my wrist. The watch wears nicely. It's very flat, and it's got a pronounced slope to its bezel, so it slides easily under a dress cuff. It's for men, it's for women. Honestly, it wears fine on both. I could recommend it for a wrist as small as 13 centimeters circumference, and you can see how much the bracelet splays out to each edge, so it's nowhere near the edge, and you can see that well from over the top. I've got plenty of clearance. It's a very special timepiece. Now, this bracelet is in better shape than most. Although all of these have a little bit of play, they also had a little bit of play when they left Geneva, and this one is remarkably intact. You can see how sharp the edges of the case are and the break between the satin and the polish. Now you can see that the individual links are in very good condition, a combination of satin and polish, diminishing width as they flare with the lugs, but then they taper down towards the clasp. We have removable links fixed by screws, and you can see quite a few of those to fine-tune the fit. We have a friction fit snap-shut crown clasp, as with the standard Day-Date. That is your sign of the partition point between the two halves. Taking a quick look at the profiles, it's a little bit more angular, and one might even say tonneau-like compared to something along the lines of a standard Oyster case. It has a fully integrated bracelet. You can see on the underside the serial number as well as the reference quite visible and still remarkably deep. I'll pop this open and show you better, but this is another great indicator of the condition of the watch. You can see that the serial number, across from it the reference number, and then down below the patent notation and the hallmarks remain incredibly deep and well-defined. We have a screw-down crown, twin-lock style crown. These would have been highly water-resistant in their day, but being a true vintage watch, I recommend you not test the limits. We have a bezel that shows signs of minimal refinishing and wear. It's definitely been worn down a little bit through the years, but it retains excellent faceting definition. And then we have a sapphire crystal. This watch was a little bit ahead of its time, attaining a sapphire crystal along with the standard Day-Date long before most of the sports watches went that route. The dial is immaculate and easily the best part of this watch. Tritium hands, tritium dial, they both match. We have applique yellow gold Roman numerals, including a watchmaker's for a nice matte or opaline, non-gloss, non-sunburst style gold dial. We have day and we have date. There is a quick set for the date, open 6s, open 9s. And the watch also has a hacking seconds function. And one of the best features of the Oysterquartz series is that even though it is a quartz movement, it uses a traditional Swiss lever escapement. So its jumps are super precise and always arrested perfectly on the index. And it also makes a dramatic and loud tick with each beat of that Swiss lever escapement. So you actually wind up with a stepper motor, but also a lever escapement. It is a remarkable movement. The Oyster Quartz caliber 5055, which is the Day-Date Oyster Quartz in this watch, is one of the all-time great movements. It's a COSC certified quartz chronometer, which is exceedingly rare. So it's got that, I would say, feather in its cap, but it's got more. In addition to the COSC certification, hacking seconds, quick set date, 2 to 3 year power reserve, quartz trimmer for adjusting for the aging of quartz crystals over time, thermocompensation for dealing with extremely hot and extremely cold conditions without varying. It also has the extraordinary accuracy of approximately 40 to 60 seconds gained per year, which is among the best of the best. Remember, COSC Swiss chronometer for a mechanical watch, well, that movement can gain as much as 6 seconds per 24 hours. This watch will only gain 10 times that per year at most. Now, it's also important to note that this is a remarkably long-legged movement designed to last not just the lifetime of the owner, but also the potential lifetime of the watch itself, which is why you have those features like modular components that can be replaced if necessary, repairable traditional watchmaking, 11 jewels that will be ultimately cleaned, re-lubricated by a watchmaker when the watch goes back together, and that quartz trimmer is key because over decades, quartz crystals, they do what watchmakers call drift. And so drift is a little bit of predictable inaccuracy that works its way in. With the trimmer, you can dial out all of that, and the presence of such a mechanism in a quartz movement speaks to the intended longevity of that movement. So you've got a lot to love in this caliber 5055, one of the great quartz calibers ever made, and a Rolex manufacturer movement. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.